You live under a sky that is no longer yours. It is a vast, empty bowl of blue and white, a constant reminder of humanity's cage. Your grandparents told you stories of the fall. They spoke of a sky that once burned with ships, our ships, ascending and descending on pillars of fire. They said humanity would never fly again. The conquerors made that a solemn promise. For 117 years, they were right. Now the sky is silent. The only thing that flies is the wind. It whispers through the bones of dead cities. You were born into this silence. You know nothing but the dust and the rust. You live in a settlement built from scrap. It huddles in the shadow of a crashed Titan, a warship from the old days. Its metal skin is a mountain range of decay. Every day is a struggle for parts and power. You scavenge the ruins for forgotten technology. You trade ancient circuit boards for clean water. It is a hard life, a grounded life. But you are different from the others. You still look up. They tell you it is foolish to stare at the sky. They say the past is a ghost that should be left to rest. Looking up only invites sorrow and memories of what was lost. Your elder, Jonas, says it attracts bad luck. You think a little bad luck might be more interesting than this. You see the sky not as a ceiling. You see it as a destination. You feel a pull towards the silent, distant stars. A longing you cannot name. A fire in your gut. It is a heritage of defiance you never knew you had. Today, you venture further than ever before. You enter the zone the elders call the ash fields. It is the heart of a city that was flash-melted in the final days of the war. They say the very ground is poisoned with defeat. You just think it has the best salvage. Twisted towers of steel claw at the empty air. They look like hands begging the sky for mercy. The wind howls a lonely song through their metallic bones. You are a solitary figure in this monument to failure. You walk with a pack full of tools and foolish hope. You are searching for power cores, old fusion batteries. Most are cracked and leaking radiation. But sometimes you find one with a flicker of life, enough to power the town's water purifiers for a week. Your Geiger counter clicks softly, a steady heartbeat in the silence. The sun beats down on the fields of glass. The city's windows were all turned to sand in the heat. It crunches under your boots like gray snow. For hours, you find nothing but decay. Just the skeletal remains of a world that dared to touch the heavens. Then, your scanner chirps. It is not the familiar crackle of radiation. It is a clean, sharp pulse. A structured signal, buried deep beneath the rubble. Your heart hammers against your ribs. This is something new. You dig with your hands and a small shovel. The signal grows stronger with every scoop of dirt and debris. You unearth a slab of reinforced plascrete. It must weigh a ton. It probably does. You find a gap and shove your crowbar into it. With a groan of protesting metal, you lift the edge, just enough to see what lies beneath. In the dark cavity, something glimmers. It is not a core. It is a small, perfect cube of black metal. It seems to absorb the light around it. You reach into the darkness, your fingers brushing against its surface. The moment you touch it, a jolt runs up your arm. It is not electricity, but a feeling of pure potential. A hum vibrates through your bones, a deep, resonant thrum. It feels like a forgotten song. You pull the cube from its tomb. It is heavier than it looks, dense and solid. Its surfaces are smooth and seamless. There are no buttons, no markings. Yet you know with absolute certainty that it is not sleeping. You have just woken something up. You hold it in your palms. A soft white light begins to pulse from within its core. It beats in time with your own heart. For a century, humanity has been silent, and you are holding a piece of its lost voice. Your first thought is that it would make a fantastic paperweight. Your second is that you are in a great deal of trouble. The artifact hums in your pack as you journey back. It feels like you are carrying a captured star. The town seems smaller when you return. The concerns of your people feel distant, trivial. You have touched a piece of the past, and it has changed you. That night, you do not sleep. You sit in your small workshop, a shack made of welded ship plating. The cube sits on your workbench, its light filling the room. It casts long, dancing shadows on the walls. It seems to be waiting for something. You run every diagnostic you can. You use every tool you own. Nothing can penetrate its strange surface. It is made of an alloy you cannot identify. Its power source is a mystery that mocks your simple equipment. You have a key without a lock. Frustrated, you slump over the bench. You rest your head in your hands. You wonder if this is just some cruel joke from the past. A beautiful, useless thing to remind you of what you can never have. The light from the cube softens, as if sensing your despair. Then you remember the stories, the old tales of star-born technology. They said the machines of the ancestors were different. They did not just run on power, they ran on intent. They were partners, not just tools. You look at the cube again. You clear your mind of scanners and tools. You reach out, not with your hands, but with your will. You focus on a single thought, a single question. What are you? The cube's light flares brightly for a moment. A faint blue line projects from its surface. The line of light paints a map on your workshop wall. It is not a map of the land around you. It is a schematic of tunnels and vaults deep beneath the ground. A path leading from the ash fields to a place you have never seen. A place hidden from the world. The cube is not the treasure. It is the key. It wants to show you something. It wants to lead you home. You feel a surge of adrenaline, a wild, reckless joy. This changes everything. You gather your gear before the sun rises. You leave a simple note for your friends. Gone exploring, it says. It is the biggest understatement of your life. You feel a pang of guilt. But this journey is yours alone. For now. You follow the beam of light back into the ruins. The cube guides you past dangers you never knew existed. It highlights unstable structures and pockets of radiation. It leads you to a section of the city that has collapsed into a massive chasm. At the bottom is a door. The door is a perfect circle of seamless metal. It is set into the sheer rock wall of the chasm. There is no handle, no keypad, just a small indentation in its center. The indentation is a perfect match for the cube you hold in your hand. This is not a coincidence. This is a welcome mat. You place the cube into the door. For a moment, nothing happens. The silence of the shaman feels heavy, judgmental. Then, the ground itself begins to tremble. With a deep grinding sound, the circular door irises open. It reveals a passage into utter darkness. A rush of cold, sterile air washes over you. It smells of ozone and preserved history. The cube's light intensifies, illuminating the tunnel ahead. You take a breath and step across the threshold. You are entering the tomb of your ancestors. The door seals shut behind you with a final, echoing boom. You are now cut off from your world. The tunnel descends deep into the earth. The walls are smooth and cool to the touch. The air is still and silent, a silence full of secrets. After what feels like an hour of walking, you arrive in a vast chamber. Your cube floats from your hand and settles into a console. The chamber erupts in a cascade of soft, white light. You are standing in a library of ghosts. Holographic displays shimmer into existence all around you. They show images of starships, gleaming and powerful. You see charts of distant galaxies and star science equations. They are far beyond your understanding. They are beautiful. A voice fills the chamber. It is calm and clear, a synthesized woman's voice. "Welcome, Inheritor," it says. "Archive designation, Sanctuary. I am the Warden. I have been waiting for a very long time." You look around for a speaker, but the voice is everywhere. You see recordings of your people. They are not the dirt-stained scavengers you know. They are proud and clean, dressed in crisp uniforms. They stride across the bridges of starships. They command fleets that could shatter moons. They look like gods. One of them wears a hat that looks suspiciously like a traffic cone. Fashion was clearly a different beast back then. The Warden shows you everything. It shows you humanity's golden age, a time when 1,000 worlds called you friend. You see the birth of colonies on terraformed worlds. You see the construction of ring worlds, ribbons of light and life. You were not just explorers, you were creators. Then, the Warden shows you the war. It does not show you battles, it shows you the enemy. A silent, implacable fleet of geometric shapes. Perfect black triangles and spheres that moved without propulsion. They were known only as the Watchers. They did not communicate. They did not negotiate. They only erased. The Watchers did not want to conquer humanity. They wanted to contain it. They saw your expansion as a sickness, a chaotic variable. So they cut you down. They shattered your fleets and bombed your colonies. They pushed you back to your cradle, to this one lonely world. The final recording is from the last admiral of the Starfleet, a woman with tired eyes and an unbroken will. "They have broken our ships," she says to the camera. "But they have not broken us. We will not be their prisoners. We will hide our knowledge. We will wait. Someone will come. Someone will remember how to fly." Her image fades, and you are left in the silent library. The weight of a century of failure settles on your shoulders. You were not defeated. You were imprisoned, grounded like a misbehaving child. The Watchers did not destroy your home. They turned it into a jail cell. You did not know it then. You could not have known. Your small act of discovery was not quiet. It was a shout in a silent cathedral, a flare launched into the endless dark of space. Waking the Warden had a consequence you could not imagine. Far away, in the cold between worlds, something stirred. An old machine, a patient guardian, opened its eye. It had slept for a century, dreaming of silence. It was a listening post, one of thousands, a tripwire left behind by the Watchers. For over 100 years, it had heard nothing. Nothing but the faint whispers of a planet's weather. But now, it detected a surge of energy, a familiar signature, one it was programmed to recognize. The signature of a human high-technology archive, a sanctuary. The signal was faint, a ghost of what it once was. But it was unmistakable. The machine processed the information with cold logic. The primitives were stirring. The quarantine had been breached. A protocol that had laid dormant for generations was activated. A tight beam of information shot from the satellite. It raced across the void faster than light. It traveled towards a point of absolute blackness, a place where a single, vast consciousness slumbered. The Watcher had left its sentries. Now, one of them was calling home. The mind of the Watcher was not like yours. It did not think in words or images. It thought in patterns and probabilities. It felt the incoming signal as a discordant note in a perfect symphony, a flaw in its great work of silence. Its attention, a force of unimaginable gravity, turned back towards your solar system. It focused on the third planet, the little blue world it had pacified so long ago. It remembered the loud, chaotic creatures that swarmed its surface. It remembered their stubborn refusal to be still. You feel it in the sanctuary, a sudden chill in the air, a static prickle on the back of your neck. The warden's voice returns, its calm tone now laced with urgency. "Inheritor," it says. "An ancient transmission has just been detected. I am registering a query from a Watcher Deep Space Sentry. You do not understand the words, but you understand the feeling of being watched by something immense, something cold and unforgiving. The masters of your prison had just realized someone was rattling the cage door, and they were turning to look. The knowledge from the sanctuary burns inside your mind. The schematics for impossible machines swim in your vision. You are no longer just a scavenger of scrap. You are an architect of rebirth. The Watcher's gaze is a fire at your back, spurring you onward. You cannot stay in the sanctuary forever. The warden is a library, not a fortress. You must take what you have learned and build. You must turn theory into defiant reality. The warden transfers its most vital files into your simple data slate. Schematics for power sources, propulsion, life support. You return to the surface a different person. The world looks the same, but you see it with new eyes. You see the crashed warship not as a ruin, but as a mine of resources. You see the scrap heaps not as trash, but as a source of raw materials. Everything has a purpose now. Your workshop becomes your entire world. The air smells of hot metal and ozone. Here, you begin to build your first Defiance. It is not a starship, not yet. It is a small, one-person anti-gravity platform. A skiff, the warden's files called it. A simple machine for moving cargo. For you, it is the first step to the stars. The work is harder than you ever imagined. The blueprints are complex, written in a language of math you barely speak. You translate them piece by piece. You learn by trial and error, mostly error. For every circuit you connect correctly, you fuse 3 more. Your knuckles are permanently scraped. Your clothes are stained with grease and flux. You scavenge parts with a desperate focus. You need refined alloys, power conduits, emitter arrays. Things no one has cared about for 100 years. You trade your last food rations for a set of magnetic clamps. You convince a friend to loan you a power regulator from the town's main generator. He thinks you are building a better water pump. He has no idea you are trying to break a promise a century old. The other settlers watch you with suspicion. They see your obsession, your wild-eyed exhaustion. They whisper that you have caught a sickness from the ash fields. They say the ghost of the past has possessed you. Maybe they are right. You certainly feel haunted by the future. After weeks of relentless work, it is finished. The skiff rests on the floor of your workshop. It is a crude, ugly thing. A patchwork of salvaged parts and desperate welding. It looks less like a machine of the stars and more like a pile of junk that got into a fight with a toolbox. But it is your pile of junk. You drag it out into the desert under the cover of night. The twin moons of your world cast a pale, ghostly light. The machine sits on the sand, silent and squat. This is the moment of truth. All your work, all your hope, is resting on this one test. You connect the power source, a heavy fusion battery you salvaged. You triple-check the connections, your hands shaking. You climb onto the small platform. You take a deep breath. You press the activation switch. A high-pitched whine fills the night air. The skiff shudders violently beneath you. The emitters glow a dangerous-looking cherry red. The smell of burning insulation fills your nostrils. You grip the controls, your teeth clenched. Come on. Come on. You whisper to the machine. For a moment, it seems to be winning. The skiff lifts from the sand. 1 inch, 2 inches. It hovers, unsteady and shaking. You are flying. You are actually flying. A laugh escapes your lips, a bark of pure, unadulterated triumph. The triumph lasts for 3 seconds. Then, with a sound like tearing metal, the primary power conduit overloads. A shower of brilliant white sparks erupts from the machine. The skiff lurches violently to one side. Then it explodes. The blast throws you clear. You land hard in the sand, 10 feet away. Your ears are ringing. Black smoke pours from the twisted, burning wreck of your machine. The fire casts a flickering, hellish light on your failure. You lie there for a long time, bruised and covered in soot. You stare at the flames consuming your work, every piece of scrap you begged for, every hour of sleep you lost. It is all gone, turned to ash and ruin. But as the fire dies down, you see something. The sand beneath the wreck has been fused into glass. A perfect circle of black, shiny glass. A scar on the face of the world. A testament to the fact that for 3 seconds, you flew. A slow smile spreads across your face. It is a painful, bloody smile. They said you would never fly again. They were wrong. You had flown. Now you just had to learn how to land.